Hello and welcome to the first quarterly annual new items in my Swarovski collection walkthrough of 2023. I'm first going to show you the new items in my collection, and then I'm going to hold a very long and probably very boring lecture about fakes and where Swarovski is made these days. So if you want to see just crystal figurines, you can look at the first part and then skip the rest. It's going to be sarcastic and probably a bit nasty, but we'll see. Starting here, we have a sea lion. This was a present from my husband for my birthday. He's snoring in the back. I'm not sure the camera will probably capture his snoring. It's past midnight anyway. We have a bear with a fish, recently retired, and a dinosaur with ridiculously cute legs. It was apparently called Dino, which is awfully unimaginative, but those feet are absolutely ridiculously cute. Then we have bear sister and bear mother, older retired pieces, bought from a lovely collector in Italy. They're absolutely adorable. And then we have Swarovski Crystal Society, one of the annual exclusive annual editions. This is the fawn. There was a stag and a doe. And this is the fawn was a gift from my husband for the anniversary of the day we began our relationship. He's like that, he's adorable. Then we have one of the oldest cats. I bought this because the one in my own collection has a floppy tail, and this one has a very straight tail, so this is a tail variant. I'm going to keep both. And talking about tail variants, we have the Dachshund. Now the one in my collection has a spring tail pointing straight up, and this one has a floppy braided tail. So there's that, and then there's Swarovski Crystal Society Annual Edition 2022 Elephant Fayola, completing my set of 3 SCS elephants. It's a very beautiful piece, very impressive. If you want to buy this, they are probably retiring very soon, so if you want to buy one, and if you're a Swarovski Crystal Society member, then hurry. You'll probably want this. This is an absolutely adorable piece. And then we have the Koalas. This is an older piece, and the amount of details is sometimes so shocking. If you can see the detail of the hand and the baby koala in the mother's arms, so it's wonderful. And then we have loyalty gift swan ornament. My husband gave this one for me as a present as well. And then there we have the dolphin on a wave, an older piece, and 2 5-centimeter happy flowers, yellow rose and marguerite. The happy flowers are available in 3 sizes. There's a 5 centimeter, between 4.8 and 5 centimeters usually. And then there's medium, which is about 10 centimeters, and large, which is 20 centimeters, between 18 and 20 centimeters. I have none of the largest yet in my collection, but these are absolutely adorable. The marguerite is also available in red, but that's called, oh god, I forgot the name. It's available in red, but the name is it was named after another flower. And then there's the yellow, which is called sunflower. So I can't get the name into my head right now. It's one of those stupid moments. Anyway, and then we have Jackie, the rocking flower. This is absolutely a chunky and huge piece compared to the other rocking flowers I have. But I should have actually brought out one of the other flowers, so you should have seen the size comparison, but it's too late for that now. And then we have a Christmas tree, an older Christmas tree with gold and red baubles and the golden star on the top. And then we have Felix the Christmas tree, the 10 centimeter version, so medium version. I had the 5 centimeter version already. There's also a large version of this. And then there's Holiday Magic Christmas Tree Duo, which is a very modern piece compared to what I usually collect. But I couldn't resist them when I found them for sale. And then we have Winter Squirrel. I have no idea how I should display this piece. It's supposed to clip on a branch of a Christmas tree, but there's no way in hell I'm going to bring out a tree for all year around. And you can't actually, you have to either lay it flat on the shelf or keep it in a box. And I don't want to keep it flat because the tail is absolute disaster with dust, so it would take ages to clean it and it would probably be ruined in a few weeks. So I'll be displaying it in a box until I find out a better way. Moving here we have this is the pram or buggy from When We Were Young theme group, and the Chaton Ocean Wave, if I remember correctly. And we have Wedding Bells. I have been looking for this for a long time. This is an absolute treasure, with porcelain roses and metal ribbon, and oh, so pretty. And then we have a Beetle Amazar Small, another gift from my husband. I have the medium version, which he also bought for me, and I also need the large one, but I suspect he'll buy that one for me as well. There are 3 size versions. And then we have one of the butterflies, and once again I have forgotten the name of this. It began with an A. It's absolutely gorgeous. Just look at those dark and brown colors, and oh, this is so lovely. It's a magnet, so basically the magnet on the underside of this clips into the stand. It's a very pretty thing. And finally we have these 2. I have owned this vase for many years, and I kept it in a green hallway in one of my rooms until I found this tea light, and I knew that it was made by Swarovski, but I didn't keep it in my Swarovski collection because I have told myself that I don't collect vases and home accessories and so on, and I just had to buy these. And especially the vase, when I bought it, it was just one of those came across and had to purchase things. So anyway, these are the new items in my collection for the first quarterly annual. I'm starting to sound like one of those big business companies. So I'll be keeping a bit of a lecture about the fakes and manufacturers of Swarovski. Now, I'm going to talk about fakes because a person said in a comment that a Swarovski representative had claimed that all Swarovski made outside of Austria is fake. Now, we're going to debunk that because it's absolute rubbish. We have here one of the older pieces, yes. This is a dolphin made in Austria. cat, also made in Austria. These are from my collection, latest acquisitions, most of them. Didn't want to go through all 1,000 boxes that I have. And this is Elephant Fayola's box. And I purchased this directly from Swarovski's website, their official website. And this is made in Serbia, if you can see that. So if we played pretend that everything made out of Austria is fake, then Swarovski would be selling fakes on their official website. So you can see how utterly ridiculous the claim is. And then we have here pumpkin, which I bought in 2022 from Swarovski, and that also is made in Serbia. And then we have present with purchase, gentian flower, and that's made in Serbia as well. So this was given as a gift when you purchased items from Swarovski's official website, and this was not available in any stores, so they would be also giving fakes in their website. Now, moving here, we have magnet butterfly violet. This was bought from a very distinguished Finnish chain that also sells Swarovski, and this piece is made in India. Now, this is a large company, and though Finland is a small country, they would be in an awful lot of legal trouble if they were to be caught selling fake Swarovski items. They have a lot of Swarovski for sale, though not as much as many others do. And then we have this is the ball ornament, it's SCS, and I also purchased this directly from Swarovski's site, and it is also made in India. So once again, the Swarovski website would be selling fakes if they were fakes. And then we have Swan Loyalty Gift for Swarovski Crystal Society members, made in India. So that would mean, because these were not for sale, these were given to people who were loyal members of the SCS. So if these were fakes, then the fake producer would be sending free stuff to Swarovski Crystal Society members. We have here, this is Love Heart, Amethyst Small. I just took one box because I had to find one of these. I knew I had this one, made in Liechtenstein. Now, if you know anything about European geography and culture, Liechtenstein is really not the country with sweatshops and a place you would associate with fakes. And then we have the ornament candy cane. Now, my friend went to Germany late last year, and she bought this as a Christmas present for me. And this is made in Vietnam. Now, this one was purchased from one of Swarovski's flagship stores. So they would be also selling fakes on their flagship stores, which, once again, no. And finally, we have here the Swarovski Millennia Statement Pen. Now, I didn't buy this. There was a Swarovski competition in the Swarovski Crystal Society magazine, and they gave these out for lucky winners, and I got one. And it's made in China. So basically, once again, we would have a fake maker who sends free stuff to people who belong to Swarovski Crystal Society and participate in the competition, and Swarovski doesn't send anything, but the fake maker does. So, as you can see, the claim is absolutely idiotic. Now, I don't want to badmouth Swarovski employees or employers or any of them. And the problem is that I don't know who this Swarovski representative is. But let's first say that I have chatted several times with their online support. Now, the online support people are lovely people. They are very helpful if you have problems with your order. If you have problems adding things to your basket, or if you have accidentally ordered a wrong item, like I once did, I actually accidentally ordered one ornament twice, and they helped me cancel it. And they are very nice, they're very helpful, they're very skilled. But if you ask them something about the figurines themselves, like I did when the Mandarin ducks, the first version was replaced with version 2, where the base was turned from metal to crystal. And I asked if there's a other difference between the two variants, and they didn't know. And they told me they would find out, and then never got back to me. So the problem with it is that they are not there. Actually, I made the mistake too, because they are not there to help us collect old retired pieces, unless they are for sale in their outlet or anything. They're not there to help us collect retired pieces. They are there to help us buy their existing models, which is how Swarovski gets their money. And for most of them, that's their job. That's simply their job, and it's not a bad thing. Expecting them to know everything about Swarovski when Swarovski releases hundreds and hundreds of items every year, it's too much. And if we are talking about a representative who works in a local jewelry store, once again, those people, it's their job to sell stuff. And if they sell other things in addition to Swarovski, then it's doubly so. They have to know a lot of things, and they can't know everything. Now, Swarovski is an Austrian company, and they are very proud of their heritage, and they have a tremendous impact in Austria, as I have understood. But they also have a lot of production all over the globe, Serbia and elsewhere. Many of these items are shipped from various locations. Bern, for example, there are offices, and they employ hundreds of people around the globe. But this is a business, and this is a company that needs to make money. So they need to cut down costs. So these days, if they had made all these items, all the jewelry and all these crystal figurines in Austria, they would have to charge a tremendous amount of money, because wages in Central Europe are much higher than in places like Serbia or India or China. So it's a matter of cutting down costs, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It means the factory in there means that the people who work there get paid something decent, instead of those people being unemployed or possibly working in sweatshops. So expecting too much of these representatives is not a good thing. But without knowing who the Swarovski representative was, it's impossible to say more why they would make these claims, and perhaps the person was simply misinformed. But if you buy Swarovski from their website, you won't get scammed, but you will get an item that is made. Most of these, actually, I went through many of my newer boxes, and most of them were made in Serbia. But there were still items made in Austria. But you can't pick and choose that I only want items made in Austria, because there's nothing in their site that says where this item was made in. And I have no idea actually how they plan and where they make, if there's some sort of system which factory makes which items. So anyway, that was the first part of my lecture. I speak fluent sarcasm, as you can see. Now, to the next part of the lecture. Now, I tried to remember times when if I have ever run across larger Swarovski fakes. And there was one time when I ran across one seller who had apparently either broken, either intentionally or unintentionally, several figurines, and they had glued parts into different. So there was, for example, one bee with a flower from another figurine, and they looked very real, and the pieces were actually Swarovski, but the seller didn't define them as it could be called art, do-it-yourself art, but the seller didn't define that they were not completely as original. They just said it was a mint figurine came with a box, except she didn't mention the modifications, and I'm not sure if many people went and bought these figurines which had been modified, perhaps mistaking them as some sort of a rare variant. So that was one case. And then there was this is pure speculation, but somewhere around 2013, 2017, somewhere in the vicinity of that, there were several lots that popped out upon eBay, and they had some of these larger figurines like the Blue Jays, and there was a Disney princess and so on, and there were shards, or actual crystal pieces, and they said that their figurines had broken in a move, and they sold them as lots as is. And I started wondering, because many of those lots seem to contain pieces from more than just one figurine. And I think one person bought one of these, and they said that it contained more pieces than actually would have been needed, and some of the pieces looked like they hadn't been glued at all. So this is pure speculation because I have no proof, but it is possible that that was an attempt by someone to create a fake, and they gave up at the gluing stages. Because if you look at Fayola, for example, you can see how many pieces are in it, perhaps at least some hint of it. And if you've glued something like glass, then you know it's not that simple. Swarovski's glue is their very special trade secret. It's very clear, doesn't yellow quite as much as others, and doesn't leave the white residue on the crystals. So there's no information what kind of glue Swarovski uses, and the people that they pay to glue these pieces together, they have said in some of their tours that the people are very highly trained professionals to glue these figurines together. And I'm not sure if my skills would be even near good enough to glue something like this together. And mostly fakes and replicas and unauthorized things are made in sweatshops by underpaid labor workers, basically untrained and with very little training. So I'm not sure if this something like these could be glued together by someone with absolutely no training. Now, I have seen videos of replicas of these annual snowflakes. This is a genuine one, and I have never actually held a replica in my hand, a fake one in my hand. I have seen a couple of videos. Now, the earlier ones apparently were made out of plastic or cheap glass, and they were very easy to distinguish. The boxes were different, bad copies, but they most certainly did not contain labels with wrong country markings, because it's actually the easiest thing that they can do is copy the labels, copy the country it's made in. So anyone who wants to create a fake will not mark it as a fake made in Fakistania. So there's a newer video by someone whom I don't know, and they claim that they have seen of these newer annual ornaments, and that the new fakes are much more believable and harder to distinguish. And I can't say anything for certain because I have never held one of those fakes in my hand and what are the differences. But if you want to avoid fakes with the larger figurines, I'm not sure if that's that big of a risk. But if you look at the snowflake, it's quite two-dimensional design, and this would probably be a lot easier to replicate by unskilled laborers or with very little training, and cheap to make, especially if they buy cheaper materials and cheaper packaging and especially cheap labor. If you want to avoid getting a fake, then don't pinch pennies. If you want to get genuine items, then buy from Swarovski. If you want to pinch pennies, you can try to wait until the pieces retire, and then there are sometimes they pop up in the sales. There's 2 sales per year usually, and then they have promotions, and sometimes you get minus 20% off, minus 30, and sometimes even minus 50% off. But some of these pieces get sold out before they come into the sales. So, and I think actually I'm going to link a few of my favorite stores in the description. I'm not getting paid to advertise these people, but I have a few very favorite stores that sell authentic retired Swarovski, and these are professional sellers who have their own online stores, and they are 100% reliable and very professional. You won't get a cheap bargain, but they are very, very reliable. And if you want to avoid fakes, then you shouldn't pinch pennies. If you're being cheap or being a cheapskate, then you can expect that at one point you're going to get scammed. So there's just that. I'm going to link those for you so you can check what they have, and you should check them frequently because their stocks vary from time to time. They are mostly they sell buy collections and then resell them for profit, but they are very good and very professional retailers. So I'm going to link those in the description for you. So anyway, that's that about fakes. You can ask some questions. Like I said, I speak fluent sarcasm and I get easily irritated, but I usually do answer questions, especially if they are sensible questions. So you can take the risk at trying to talk to me. Good night.